Good morning. My name is Brooke Porter-Coles with the Utah Department of Workforce Services. We are going to begin today's press briefing on the Unemployment Insurance Claims Report, as well as making an announcement about a new program called Disaster Unemployment Assistance. I will introduce Kevin Burt. He is our Unemployment Insurance Division Director, and he will cover those numbers and answer any questions. If members of the media do have questions, they can send me an email or text me as outlined in the press release that I sent earlier this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke, and good morning. As Brooke mentioned, this is unemployment insurance data from July 5th through July 11th. And so we'll go ahead and start and kind of go over some of the data and then talk about some important upcoming dates when it comes to some of the CARES Act programs. So for the week ending 7/11, July 11th, it was 7,306 unemployment claims that we took last week. 7,306, it's been around 7,000 new claims for unemployment insurance for the last 7 weeks. It is important, again, to try and have some historical context to what that number means. If we look at the beginning of this pandemic started, at least on unemployment insurance, we saw the spike in unemployment insurance claims on March 15th. And they went up very quickly like a hot air balloon. You could see them go from, we averaged in 2019 about 1,100 claims, new claims a week. The first week that number jumped to 20,000, then it jumped to 29,000, and then it jumped to 33,000. It peaked at that 33,000 in early April, and then it started to subside and start to go down. But over the last 7 weeks, it's been about 7,000 new claims a week. So it is absolutely clear that there are still individuals that are seeing an impact to their employment due to this pandemic. And what we're doing is we're continuing to meet that demand and process those unemployment claims. 7,000 a week, while it is less than the 33,000 claims that we saw at the peak of this pandemic in early April, it is still nearly 6 times more new claims per week than we saw on the average week in 2019. For the week ending July 11th, we saw a little over 89,000 continued claims. Continued claims, I think, are a better indicator of how things are going than new claims. Continued claims, remember, unemployment is a week-to-week program. So a person applies, and if you are new to unemployment, it's important to understand this. You apply and state, this is where I'm at. I am currently unemployed. Every week, you have to attest to, am I still unemployed? Did I work? Did I refuse work? How much did I earn? And that is your claim for ongoing assistance. So that's called a continued claim. So the continued claim of 89,000 is a good representative of how many people continue to need unemployment benefits. And that one, again, went up fairly quickly because as new claims came in at the start of this pandemic, then what happened is those converted into continued claims because a person initially applied and every week they filed that claim. That number, on average, in 2019 was about 8,800 claims. It went up to peaked on May 2nd at 126,000 Utahns asking for the unemployment benefit in the form of a continued claim. To be a little bit of a cautious Cooper in that there is some positive signs, that continued claim has actually gone down for 9 consecutive weeks. Again, it peaked at 126,000 early May, and right now it's at 89,000. So it has gone down by about 36,000 individuals, meaning 36,000 individuals no longer, at one time that were receiving the benefit, are no longer needing the unemployment benefit. However, 90,000 people, or close to 90,000 people who are still unemployed, furloughed, or had their employment disrupted due to this pandemic is still nearly 9 times higher than the number of claims we saw in calendar year 2019. So again, this pandemic is certainly not resolved when it comes to unemployment. There are a lot of people that continue to apply, and there are a lot of people that continue to need that benefit ongoing. and we are continuing to meet that demand. Now, to play a little bit of a hot potato here, we're going to bounce around to some of the different unemployment programs. Remember, you have your traditional state unemployment benefit. And the reason why I talk about these every week is because an individual's experience on unemployment now during this pandemic is different than what a normal circumstance would be for individuals that apply for unemployment outside of the pandemic. And the reason why is because the sheer volume of work has resulted in some delays in service levels, and also the benefit amount is very different than what a normal unemployment insurance program is, and also new people are eligible. So the traditional state unemployment benefit is about 40% replacement wage. It was never intended to be a full replacement wage. And so in individual files, we look at their wages and then we determine a weekly benefit amount that they are eligible for. That is about 40% replacement, meaning the income that you lost, you will receive about 40% of that to try and provide some limited stability until an individual that is unemployed is able to re-engage into the workforce. Those claims have just been stable over the last 7 weeks. You can see not a lot of variety there, but we did pay out about $22 million in benefits. And then we also issued another $43 million in $600 stimulus benefits. Now that is part of the CARES Act. That is a federal temporarily funded stimulus benefit to try and provide more stability in unemployment, getting closer to a full replacement wage for those that are unemployed due to this pandemic. At the start of the pandemic, the goal was to stay home and to stay safe. And the thought was there's 40% replacement wage will not support that. And so the $600 stimulus was added on to everyone that is eligible for a week. That $600 is every week, and that paid out $43 million. And what that did is it allowed individuals to stay home and to stay safe while the economy paused. But now it is about to expire as the economy has begun to reopen and begin to resume. Unemployment will return to what it was at a 40% replacement wage, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. The pandemic unemployment assistance has also kind of stabilized and plateaued. We're receiving about 1,500 applications a week, and we did pay out about $15 million in the pandemic unemployment assistance. And then CARES Act also introduced pandemic unemployment assistance, is for those that are traditionally not eligible for unemployment, such as those that were self-employed or gig workers. That is a temporary program as well. And then also as part of the CARES Act, the 13-week extended benefits. So traditional unemployment benefits is available for up to 26 weeks. And then once that is exhausted, there are no more benefits for an individual to receive. Due to this pandemic and the CARES Act, the federal government added an additional 13 weeks that is fully federally funded for those that exhaust their eligibility for state unemployment benefits. And it's the same benefit as you would receive on unemployment, but it is fully federally funded. And you can see that number actually went up by almost 10%. And that is what we are expecting. What we are expecting is that individuals that were unemployed prior to this pandemic, we are about 17 weeks into this pandemic. And so individuals are starting to exhaust their state benefit and transitioning into the extended benefit, as seen by the 90,000 about individuals that continue to file a claim. And then another number that I like to point out, and then we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the time frames for the CARES Act programs, is again, we try and track how many people are no longer needing the benefit, meaning they are eligible for the benefit, but for 2 consecutive weeks they have not received or requested the benefit. That's a good indicator of individuals that have been able to successfully disconnect from unemployment and re-engage back into the workforce. And that number was nearly 5,000 people last week. So that is, again, a promising number as this economic activity begins to return, as the consumer confidence begins to return. What we hope is, and as employers respond to this pandemic and its difficulty now and adjust its workforce practices or its circumstances to create a safe environment for people to be able to return to work, and also for consumers to be able to come and purchase things at those industries. So that is a promising sign. So the CARES Act, there's a very important date when it comes to the $600 stimulus benefit. But let me first explain. The state unemployment benefit will continue for anyone that is eligible. If you are eligible for unemployment insurance and you remain unemployed, you will be able to continue to receive the state unemployment benefit. Remember, that is at about 40% replacement wage. The pandemic unemployment assistance, which is for the self-employed or gig workers, is available to individuals through the end of December for a set number of weeks. So you can exhaust the pandemic unemployment assistance as well. But do keep in mind that self-employment unemployment is also 40% replacement wage. And then the 13-week extension is also going to continue until the end of this year. But that is also at 40% replacement wage. All unemployment programs are set around a 40% replacement wage. What has caused it to be a richer benefit is a single program that provides a $600 stimulus to anyone that is eligible for any of those unemployment insurance programs. That $600 stimulus expires on July 25th, which means individuals will receive that $600 stimulus payment for 2 more weeks. That really matters because what will happen is the very next week, anyone that continues to be on unemployment will now see a 40% replacement wage to the wages that were lost as a result of this pandemic. The $600 stimulus, again, was intended to provide some stability during a stay home and stay safe part of this pandemic. But as the economy starts to resume and starts to open up and jobs are available, the expectation is that unemployment resorts back to its temporary support, limited support, to encourage people to return and re-engage back into the workforce. So while there was stability over the last 17 weeks in unemployment insurance, that stability will be lost in 2 weeks. Why that matters is there are jobs available for job seekers right now. And remember, there are 90,000 people that are continuing to ask for the benefit. All 90,000 of those individuals, if that continues for 2 weeks, will see a significant reduction in their unemployment benefit at the same time, flooding the market with job seekers. If individuals continue to wait for that $600 to expire before actively looking for jobs, what will happen is they will see the competition in the market will grow significantly and finding employment will become more and more difficult. The same is true for employers. If you are an employer that has been wanting to bring your employees back but is waiting to see how the market responds, if you are not going to bring your employees back, your employees within 2 weeks will see an enormous amount of pressure to leave your company and start looking for employment where there is employment, because the unemployment will not be sufficient to provide economic stability for those individuals. So as an employer, if you are in a position to bring your employees back, now is the time to bring them back before you lose those talented employees. And if you are an individual that is on unemployment and you are not sure if your industry is going to return within the next 2 weeks, or you're going to be offered a job in the next 2 weeks, and it may be in the next 2-3 months, there are different industries that are doing well in this pandemic, creating a safe environment for their employees and offering an alternate option for employment. And those opportunities should be sought for those on unemployment now, because the further and further we go into this pandemic, with that $600 being removed in 2 weeks, the job market will become more and more difficult for those actively seeking work. With that being said, we do want to highlight one of the services that we're providing at DWS, and that is a job fair. We do a virtual job fair, so it is safe for everybody that wants to participate. This is our 3rd job fair, and we are doing it on July 30th from 10 until 1 o'clock. And what we do is we connect job seekers to employers that are looking for workers. Right now, we have over 80 employers signed up to participate in this virtual job fair across many industries, offering thousands of jobs. And what will happen is we'll be able to connect job seekers to these employers in a virtual environment to find out about those jobs and start to apply for and potentially get hired on those jobs. It is free to everybody. It is at jobs.utah.gov. All you do is go on, and then what you'll do is you'll register for the job fair on Thursday from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. You will also see that in our website, we have over 20,000 available jobs for those that are continuing to see this pandemic impact their employment. Please look at those available jobs, because there are industries that are seeing growth, that are hiring, and there are jobs available. And again, unemployment, that stability will be lost in 2 weeks. If you would like help preparing for that, because it is different, certainly interacting with someone virtually versus someone in person, there will also be a workshop available for anyone the day before the actual virtual job fair to prepare job seekers and help them stand out in a virtual environment with these employers. So again, we encourage you to participate July 30th from 10 to 1 at jobs.utah.gov. Over 20,000 jobs are also there, and it is free to the public, and over 80 employers across many industries offering thousands of jobs. So hopefully that is a good resource, as unemployment has served its purpose, providing stability, but it will return to normalcy for everyone that's on unemployment and be a 40% replacement wage after July 25th. And with that, we'll go ahead and take any questions that people have about the unemployment insurance. Okay, so that's a good question. So it was asking about when can people apply for unemployment and receive $600. So remember, there are two individuals within unemployment insurance and how that's going to relate to the $600. So individuals that are receiving unemployment, already on it, and are filing a continued claim, the continued claim becomes available for for individuals on unemployment on Sunday. So the first time an individual can file their continued claim for the week of July 19th through July 25th, which is the date that $600 stimulus expires, is on July 26th. So anyone that was receiving unemployment and files their continued claim the week of July 26th through August 1st, reporting their wages for the previous week, that is the last week the $600 will be made available. So again, it will be paid after July 25th, but it's paid for the week ending July 25th. Now, with that being said, if an individual applies for the first time for unemployment or reapplies for unemployment after July 25th, that $600 will not be available, because that is paid for the week ending August 1st. And so individuals will not be eligible for the $600 for applications after July 25th. And the last week is for those that are on continued claims, if they file a continued claim reporting their earnings for the week ending July 25th, they may get a $600, if eligible, payment during the week of July 26th through August 1st. After that, all programs, the state unemployment benefit, the pandemic unemployment assistance for the self-employed and gig workers, the 13-week extended benefit, all return to a 40% replacement wage. While there are a couple more weeks to get that $600, again, about 90,000 people in this pandemic are still seeing their employment impacted by this pandemic. Unemployment will continue to be there to provide limited assistance for those that are still unemployed, but that limited assistance will return to its normal 40% replacement wage for anyone on unemployment. Now is the time to really look at and do an evaluation of what am I going to do. And what we encourage is there are jobs and some stability, certainly greater stability, will be found in employment than it will be found in unemployment. Yes. So the question was, is the $600 stimulus a state decision, or is it a national program that will be seen across the nation? The $600 stimulus is part of the CARES Act and is a nationally funded, approved program. So that $600 is not just going away for the state of Utah. The $600 stimulus benefit was applied for the nation and will also be going away across the nation beginning July 25th. Remember, it was a supplement to individuals that were on unemployment to try and provide more economic stability during the stay home, stay safe. But as economies are starting to open and economic activity is starting to return in a safer environment, or attempting to be a safer environment, the $600 currently is being removed to try and encourage people to engage in those work that is available now under the current circumstances. Okay, so we do have one more piece of it that we wanted to highlight today. And that is hot off the presses. We got notified last week that Utah was approved by FEMA for the Disaster Unemployment Assistance. Disaster Unemployment Assistance is an individual assistance program for individuals who were impacted by a disaster. And so what happens is the state of Utah, after the disaster, which was the earthquake on March 18th, as well as the aftershocks through April 17th, there's an evaluation period of how much damage has been caused by these earthquakes and aftershocks. And then if it is determined there is a need for federal assistance to help with some of those costs as a result of the earthquake, then we as a state can request federal assistance to try and help cover some of those costs, including public assistance to help with damaged facilities and such. But as part of that request for benefit, there's also an evaluation of what's called individual assistance, or disaster unemployment assistance, which is an unemployment assistance program for individuals who are unemployed as a direct result of the earthquake. And that was announced as approved last Friday, so we have already made that application available for individuals who are unemployed as a direct result of the disaster unemployment assistance. Now, I do want to highlight a few things. The unemployment assistance is, again, a federally funded program. It is only available for application for the next 30 days. So if you are unemployed as a direct result of the disaster, of the earthquake, you can go to jobs.utah.gov/COVID-19, and you will see a link for an application, and you can apply for that assistance. But let me be clear, we are not expecting a lot of applications that are going to be found eligible for disaster unemployment assistance. And the reason why is, thankfully, the earthquake, while it did damage many facilities and impact many individuals, it did not result, at least in our analysis, of significant losses in employment. The pandemic certainly did. But the earthquake, which was, it's basically you had the pandemic, and then hot on the heels you had the earthquake, right, almost in the same. And so many individuals were impacted by this pandemic, but were not, didn't have their employment disrupted due to the earthquake. So let me give just a few eligibility criteria when it comes to disaster. You are not eligible for disaster unemployment assistance if you are eligible for any unemployment assistance program, including the CARES Act programs that we just reviewed. So if you're receiving unemployment, if you are received the pandemic for the self-employed or the extended weeks, you are not eligible for the disaster unemployment assistance in addition to that. You have to be a citizen or legally able to work in the United States to be able to receive that benefit. And most importantly, we are going to ask for verification that you were employed before the earthquake, and the earthquake was the direct reason why you are now currently unemployed. And so that is a very limited group of individuals that will be eligible. Those who are eligible, we will absolutely provide that assistance, but there are very few that are going to be eligible. What the experience will be is, if you click on that button, we do have a survey, both in English and Spanish, that it's a quick kind of am I eligible tool. There's about 6 questions where you will be asked certain criteria, and if you answer it honestly, If you're going to apply and not answer it honestly, you will just be found ineligible, so it won't be worth your time. If you answer it correctly and it shows you might actually be eligible for disaster, what we will do is we will send you the application and then we will look at your eligibility. The processing timeframes are the same as any other unemployment assistance program, about 21 to 30 days for processing, and we'll certainly going to make sure that those that are eligible will receive this assistance program that is available again for the next 30 days. And with that, I'll take any questions about disaster unemployment assistance. Yeah, and so the question was, can I reiterate how many people that I believe will be eligible for the disaster unemployment assistance? While we are incredibly grateful for the work done by FEMA to provide this assistance, and the assistance has been used to help with the facilities, this expanded to individuals who are unemployed as a direct result of the earthquake. We do not, in our analysis, believe many people will qualify. Many, many people needed unemployment because of this pandemic. And I'm incredibly proud of the staff and what they've been able to accomplish. Just keep in mind that over the last 17 weeks, we've received 4 years worth of work in 17 weeks. And to date, we have paid out in unemployment assistance, $1 billion, over $1 billion in unemployment assistance in the state of Utah since March 15th. That is more unemployment assistance that we've paid out to individuals that have had their employment interrupted or disrupted than in the previous 6 years. And so unemployment has certainly provided that assistance. Disaster unemployment assistance is a very unique program. I believe very few people are going to be eligible for it, thankfully, because while the earthquake was certainly shocking and difficult, we don't believe that it disrupted very many people's employment. Again, you have to have it as a direct result. You were employed, and now you are unemployed as a direct result of that earthquake. So while we will certainly look at applications, again, that screening tool will help you determine if this is the correct path for you to apply for the benefit. Okay, and with that, we're going to go ahead and end the briefing. Thank you.